On.
Welcome to another Kobei and Adrian Unfiltered. I am Kobei Washington. That's Adrian Hosenoff. We got a football jam-packed show for you guys today. Adrian, man, football is back, man. How did you like what we saw from week one, man?
Well, my team won. So, my team is the only team out of our teams to win week one. And I was feeling really good, even though I almost had a panic attack, which was watching that game.
I saw kickers botching field goals. No, your kicker missed twice before he finally won the game. Oh man, I mean,
and you know what made my weekend even better? Watching them Dallas Cowboys lose once again.
Definitely. But one thing I can't say about the Steelers game is that Jamar Chase did my fantasy right. Okay, so yeah. But
Joe Burrow got me the points I needed, but still,
I took a dub my first week. I took a great dub.
I'm in 2 leagues. One, I took a dub.
Jerry Jeudy came in clutch last night. We'll get into those boys.
Unlike Wilson, but
we'll get into their team later. We'll get into their team later. Let's start off, man. First, we got some major injuries around the NFL already. It's only week one. Two star players are out after week one with serious injuries that will help hold them out at least a month or two, month and a half, 2 months. TJ Watt tore his pec in the first game, and and Dak Prescott injured his throwing hand in the game against the Broncos. The game against the Bucks. I'm sorry. We'll talk about the Broncos later. Adrian, 2 significant injuries already at the start of the season, and it's only been week one. Do you think that they will see more significant injuries, or this was just a little, probably a little unprepared for the season? Who knows? But 2 major blows to 2 teams. Arguably you could say both teams' best players goes down with this injury, even though they will be back. What does this say for other players around the league? Seeing 2 major stars like this already out with injury.
Well, I mean, it wasn't even just 2 major stars. There were a lot of injuries first week. I mean, and it was surprising. It's like every other play, someone's going down. You're like, what's going on here? Like, why is this happening? Right. But I do think I hope that these are the last significant injuries that we see, the last horrible injuries we see. But in football, it's you never know.
Right.
But I think to the other players, just says maybe I mean, the injuries they did that when the plays that the injuries did take place, TJ Watt made a fantastic tackle.
He definitely did. I saw the play he got injured. He made a fantastic tackle.
And then responsible athlete, he knew right away and he walked off field. Instead of trying to play with the injury, he knew.
Right. I can say the same about Dak. I watched the play he got hurt on, because I was watching the game live, and it didn't look too serious when it happened, but once they put the backup QB in, that's when I knew his injury was kind of serious. I thought maybe he would just be done for the day, because they were already, I think at the time they were already down 19-3 at the time, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure Mike McCarthy. I thought Mike McCarthy was just being smart. It was like, just take him out. Don't risk any more further injury. The game's already over. We'll just be back next week. And then it came out that he'll be missing, a good 6 to 8 weeks, to get surgery on his hand. So, yeah, like you, I agree. I hope these are the least of the problems that come with injuries, especially to the star players, because we've waited a long time to see these guys back in action, and to see them get hurt so early into the season. Yeah. It does suck. And, these 2, and like I say, these 2 are arguably the 2 best players on their team.
Yeah.
TJ Watt is really the heart and soul of that Steelers defense, and
reigning defensive player of the year.
Right. And Dak Prescott is the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. He's your franchise player. So we'll just have to see how both of these teams fare without their star players. Hopefully it doesn't. I don't think TJ Watt's injury is going to be too bad for the Steelers. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be too bad for the Steelers, but I do think Dak's injury is going to be very significant for the Cowboys.
Oh yeah, and I mean the Cowboys were not looking hot regardless. So
right, you know, their defense still thing. Micah Parsons, we know how good he is, but there's only so much your defense can do. You know, it's your offense that got to put up the points. So yeah, we'll have to just wait and see.
Yeah, I agree.
On to our next topic, Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty, the man we all know and love. We love Joe Shiesty over here, big Joe Shiesty stan. He did not play to his standards. He did not look like Joe Shiesty. He looked like Joey Wonder out there. He was just throwing straight Stevies. 4 interceptions to the Steelers defense, although he did end up bringing them back to potentially win the game. You know, their kicker botched the field goal. We'll get into those later. They ended up ultimately losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers in overtime by the score of, what was it, 26-23?
2023.
2023, I said 26-23. I knew one team scored 20. I'm going to start off with you because this is your division rival. Do you think that it's just first season jitters? Because not first season jitters, new season jitters, because he was coming off an injury that kind of kept him limited this off season. So do you think that this performance was just, him kind of getting acclimated back into the game, after a limited off season, or is this just more to come from Joe Burrow?
Honestly, I think this is just for new season jitters. I mean, he was limited throughout the off season, and he did show glimpses of the Joe Burrow that we know and love, but his offensive line wasn't really holding up. He had to scramble a bunch, and a lot of passes were not going through. Pittsburgh's defense was amazing as always, and honestly, I think we're going to see more of the great Joe Burrow, and I think this is just, a one-game thing, and if it continues to happen, then I'll start to be concerned. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we have anything to be concerned about when it comes to Joe Burrow, because he is coming off a great season. He's coming off a fantastic season, and he wants to recreate that. He wants to make it back to Super Bowl, and not only does he want to make it back, he wants to win, because he wasn't able to win last time.
Right.
So I think next week he's gonna come back better than ever. And I think they play. Hold on, let me check.
I forgot who they play. I don't think they play anybody good.
They play.
Oh no, they play the Cowboys.
Yeah, they play the Cowboys. Which W right there? W right there.
Yeah, that should be a W for them. That should be a bounce back game for them. That should be you're right.
But I mean, the Bengals' issue in that game, in the game with my Pittsburgh Steelers, was just that they were turning the ball over too much. They could not keep the football.
Right.
And that is concerning. But then, and it wasn't just Burrow who was off. The whole team was really off.
Right.
So I think they need to step up the game.
Right. For a team to be as off as they were, to only lose by 3 points, you can look at that and still be happy with the outcome. You know what I mean? You don't always want to lose, but to play as poorly as you could say the Bengals did, and to only lose by 3 points and still had a chance at the end of the game to win the game, I
mean, they ran down to the final seconds in overtime.
Right, and I wouldn't, like you said, I really wouldn't put too much concern into it. New season jitters. He's, like we just said, he's coming off a limited off season, so I think it's gonna take him a little while to get acclimated. This next game against the Cowboys. Not saying it's not going to be a tough game, but, they don't have their starting quarterback. Your defense should step up against their offense. And, we got to see how this O-line is really going to be, because like you said, his O-line really didn't protect them again. And that was the issue that the Bengals had last year, even though it was hidden because of the play of the rest of their offense. Because of the play
and that also took place in Joe Burrow's rookie season when he was out with an ACL injury. And that happened because of the offensive line.
Right. And like I said, the struggles of the offensive line were shadowed by the play of Joe Mixon, the play of the receiving core, the play of Joe Burrow. So, and, they signed La'el Collins from the Cowboys this season, to help with those offensive line struggles. And right now it's not looking like it's helping at all. But like you said, maybe it's just first game jitters. Maybe they'll collectively pick it up as the season goes on. We'll have to wait and see. But as of now, the Bengals did not look good, and I agree with you. Like I said, I don't think there's any concern. There should be any concern coming from Cincinnati at this very moment. Still a long season, it's just the first game. They'll find a way to pick it up. Remember, this team just came off a Super Bowl run where they could have won the Super Bowl. They had a chance to win the Super Bowl.
But my boy Matty Stafford stopped.
Right. With this team is very talented. This team is very young, and I think they'll figure it out.
I do too. And they have a great head coach.
Right. Right. So let's get into our last and final topic. Yesterday night, Monday Night Football, Russell Wilson returned to Seattle, was spoiled by Geno Smith. Yes, that's right. You guys heard that correctly. It came out my mouth correctly. Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks spoiled Russell Wilson's return to Seattle in a very close game that came down to the wire, where the Denver Broncos coaching staff elected to kick a 65-yard field goal instead of giving Russell Wilson a chance to get some more yards on 4th and 5. Adrian, Russell Wilson had some choice words for the decision making at the end of the game. And Adrian, let me ask you, do you agree with Russell Wilson? Do you think they should have put the ball back in Russell Wilson's hands, or do you think they made the right decision in kicking that 65-yard field goal?
I think they should have called a timeout with 50 seconds to go instead of letting 30 seconds run off the clock. That's what I think.
That too. If you saw, Peyton was trying. Peyton was.
Oh my! Peyton forgot.
Peyton was like, somebody call timeout. Yeah.
I agree with Russ. I do. I think they should have put the ball back in his hands. But I understand where the coaching staff was coming from. They just wasted 30 seconds.
Right.
That's a whole half a minute out of the quarter, and this is the final minute of the quarter.
Right.
And they have a good kicker. It just didn't go their way this time. But you have to be able to trust the man that you just gave $250 million.
Right.
They have to be able to trust
huge contract. They just signed to a huge contract.
Yeah, they just signed to a huge contract. If you
better give him that money, that football, he better have had.
Yeah, you have to trust Wilson.
I was questioning the play when I was watching it too. I was just sitting here watching it, and I saw him. It looked, because after the third down play, it looked like I saw Russ going like this, so it looked like he was gonna go for it. But then I saw him trot to the sideline, and they said the field goal unit was coming out. I was like, huh. But then, remember, they ended up kicking the field goal the first time, but Seattle have called the timeout, so that field goal didn't count. And that ball was wide left. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that should be a sign to, hey, how about we
so that's what I'm saying. That should have been a sign to, you guys had 20 seconds left and you got all 3 of your timeout. I'm pretty sure if Russ picks up those extra 5 yards, you get a little closer, you could call your timeout. You know what I mean? They could have called the timeout.
And knowing Russ, he would have got closer and closer.
Right. And the way, even though Seattle's defense was playing out of its mind, they're playing great. I still think Russ could have got that 5 yards. I really do think Russ could have got those 5 yards, kept the drive going. And I think he would have been able to put them in better position to kick a shorter field goal instead of that long of field goal.
Yeah, Denver needs to trust Wilson.
Right.
You did not get a Super Bowl winning quarterback to kick a 60-yard field goal. You should know that Wilson is well than capable of marching it down the field with 20 seconds to go and getting you closer to then kick a field goal.
Right.
Because I think it would have taken a miracle for them to score a touchdown, but at least tie the game, go in overtime, and Wilson will show you why you gave him that money. Right. So I think it's ridiculous how Denver didn't even attempt to let Wilson get the ball. But yeah, I'm still who was telling, because Wilson is smart enough to know when the time is running down like that, you got all 3 of your timeouts to call a timeout. Who was telling him not to call a timeout?
I'm wondering the same thing too. Like, I'm wondering who was telling them not to call a timeout. I'm pretty sure they felt like they could get. I'm pretty sure they felt like they were going to get a lot more yards on that drive than they originally got. And You know, the way the refs were calling the game, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like the way the refs were calling the game. I thought the refs were calling a terrible game in general. Like there was a lot of penalties that went Seattle's way that I didn't agree with. There was a lot of things that also happened on Denver's side that I didn't agree with. I think one of the plays I didn't agree with was they gave one of the Denver linebackers a taunting call after he made a good tackle, and he barely even stood over the guy. They gave him a taunting call. That gave Seattle an extra 15 yards, which kept their drive alive. You know, even though I feel like, you know, both teams, they played a little sloppy. There was a span where it was like they went like back to back turnovers. If I'm correct, I think Denver fumbled, Seattle got the ball. Then Seattle fumbled. Denver drives all the way down the field and fumbles on the 1 yard line. Seattle gets the ball back. It was just a sloppy game overall.
It was a sloppy game of football.
It was a sloppy game.
Both teams need to definitely work on that. I did like what I saw from Geno Smith, though.
Right.
And I love the quote he said at the end of the game. They tried to write me off, but I didn't sign the paper.
I still can't believe. You know, Adrian, I still can't believe I really just said Geno Smith outdueled Russell Wilson.
This is the same guy who played for the New York Jets.
Oh my God. Geno Smith looked like an elite quarterback yesterday night. You know how awkward that sounds saying? Yo, I think Shannon Sharp said the same thing. The Denver defense made Geno Smith look like a Hall of Famer last night.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
honestly,
crazy.
I did miss Peyton and Eli's Monday Night Football.
You know, I'm just glad football is back. But I'm just glad sports are back in general.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad sports are back in general. You know, I still watch sports over the summer because, you know, I watch WNBA, and, you know, shout out to Connecticut Sun because they're in the WNBA finals right now against the Las Vegas. Oh, really? Yes, we made it back to the finals. We ended up beating Candace Parker and the Chicago Sky out. So we're in the finals against the Las Vegas Aces. We're down 1-0 right now. Actually, we play tonight at 9. So make sure you guys tune into that.
I'm going to tune into that. I'm definitely going to
tune in. I'm tuning in. I'm tuning in now. I love basketball. And, you know, I'm just going to say it right here, right now, Adrian. These women got some talent, man. They need more recognition, bro. They got some talent. Yeah, and their games are very interesting. And, you know, I get a lot of people don't watch because they're not as athletic as men are, but these women got some talent, man. These women are fantastic ball players, man.
You know what confuses me is when people don't. I mean, like, I've been trying to watch that WNBA more. Is how people love girls' college basketball. Right? They love it. I mean, you can see so many posts about how great the UConn Huskies girls basketball team is because that woman's team is extremely talented. Yet no one talks about the WNBA.
And the
where do you think those girls are going?
I'm gonna tell you this much. I'm gonna tell you this much right here, right now, Adrian. Most of the WNBA's best talent comes from the Huskies.
I mean, are we really surprised?
Diane Taurasi, Sue Bird, Brianna Stewart, Tina Charles. Come on. It's just so many
are we
names.
Really surprised?
No, but it's just so many names I can name. I'm not even Maya Moore, even though she doesn't ball anymore, but man, 3-time WNBA champion. Come on now. But hey man, that's the end of the video, man. I mean, not even the video, that's the end of the show, man. Hope you guys tune in. Hold on, Adrian. Give me 1 second. Hope you guys can tune in. Hope you guys are tuned in, and the action never stops.
Action never stops.
That's Adrian Hosenoff, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.